Is it still possible to find a place in today's world where life moves at its own pace? High in the cold desert of Ladakh, there exists a region where time is not measured by clocks, but by light, weather, and survival. The air is thin, the roads are long, and every movement demands patience. Nothing here is designed for convenience, and yet life continues with a quiet consistency. Mornings begin without rush, small shops open slowly, people step out only when the sun softens the cold, and daily routines unfold in a rhythm shaped more by nature than by schedules. The landscape is stark. Mountains without forests, wide open valleys, and a silence that feels present rather than empty. It doesn't try to impress, it simply exists, unchanged and unbothered. In the middle of this environment lies Leh, a town that doesn't stand out because of spectacle. A chance to witness a way of life that continues without altering itself to meet expectations. And sometimes, just seeing that reality is enough to change how we understand the world beyond it. Leh is the main town of Ladakh, located at an altitude of over 3,500 meters above sea level. Its geography alone shapes everything about life here, from how people build their homes to how they manage resources. Surrounded by the Himalayas, the region experiences long, harsh winters and short summers, which define the pace of work and daily survival. The town serves as a center for nearby villages, where people rely on small-scale agriculture, livestock, and tourism for their livelihood. Traditional houses, often made from mud bricks and stone, are built to retain heat during extreme cold. Inside, families follow routines that have been passed down through generations, not as a cultural display, but as a necessity for living in such conditions. Religion plays a visible role in everyday life. Monasteries like Hemis Monastery are not just landmarks, they are active centers of learning and practice. Prayer flags, quiet rituals, and seasonal festivals reflect a belief system that is deeply connected to the environment and community life. Despite modern influences slowly reaching the region, Leh remains grounded in its realities. Development exists, but it hasn't replaced the older ways of living. Instead, both coexist, sometimes comfortably, sometimes with difficulty. Understanding Leh requires more than just seeing it. It requires observing how people live within its limitations, and how those limitations quietly shape everything around them. The history of Leh is closely tied to its position along ancient trade routes that once connected Central Asia, Tibet, and the Indian subcontinent. For centuries, it functioned as a key stop for caravans carrying goods like silk, spices, wool, and salt. Traders would pass through this high-altitude town, making it not just a place of exchange, but also a meeting point of cultures, languages, and beliefs. Leh rose to prominence under the Namgyal dynasty, which ruled Ladakh for several centuries. During this period, structures like the Leh Palace were built, reflecting both Tibetan architectural influence and the region's political importance. The town served as a royal capital where governance, trade, and religion were closely interconnected. Over time, regional conflicts and shifting trade patterns reduced Leh's role as a commercial hub. The decline of caravan trade, especially with the closure of borders in the 20th century, significantly impacted its economy. However, the cultural imprint of that era remained visible in its markets, traditions, and diverse influences. In modern times, Leh has transitioned into an administrative and tourism center. While development has introduced roads, communication, and new opportunities, the historical identity of the town is still present. Old buildings, monasteries, and local practices continue to reflect a past shaped not by isolation alone, but by centuries of connection with distant regions. Leh is located in the northern part of India, within the high-altitude region of Ladakh. Sitting at an elevation of around 3,500 meters, the town is surrounded by the rugged terrain of the Himalayas and the Karakoram ranges. This positioning makes it one of the highest inhabited towns of its size, where geography directly influences every aspect of life. The region is often described as a cold desert. Unlike typical mountainous areas, Leh receives very little rainfall due to the rain shadow effect created by the surrounding peaks. As a result, the landscape is dry, with minimal vegetation, rocky slopes, and vast open valleys. The Indus River flows nearby, acting as a crucial water source that supports agriculture and settlements in an otherwise harsh environment. Seasonal changes are extreme. Summers are short and relatively mild, allowing limited farming and travel, while winters are long and severe, with temperatures dropping well below freezing. Heavy snowfall in surrounding areas can cut off access routes, making the region temporarily isolated. The terrain also shapes infrastructure. Roads are narrow and often affected by weather, and air travel becomes an essential link to the outside world. Despite these challenges, the geography of Leh is not just a barrier, it defines the rhythm of life, influencing how people build, move, and sustain themselves in this high-altitude environment. Survival in Leh is shaped by limitations rather than convenience. At this altitude, oxygen levels are low, water is scarce, and resources cannot be taken for granted. People plan their lives carefully, especially when it comes to food and fuel. Supplies are often stored months in advance, particularly for winter when access to other regions becomes difficult. Agriculture is limited and seasonal. During the short summer, locals grow crops like barley and vegetables that can survive in cold, dry soil. Livestock such as yaks and goats are equally important, providing milk, wool, and support for daily needs. Every resource has value, and nothing is wasted. Water management is another key part of survival. Glacial meltwater is directed through small channels to fields and homes, ensuring controlled usage. Energy sources are also adapted to the environment, with traditional heating methods still widely used. Survival here is not about overcoming nature, it is about adjusting to it. People do not try to change the environment. Instead, they shape their habits around it. This balance allows life to continue steadily, even in conditions that would seem difficult elsewhere. The traditional way of life in Leh has remained largely consistent over generations, not out of choice but necessity. Homes are typically built using mud bricks and stone, materials that provide insulation against both cold winters and mild summers. These houses are compact, often with small windows to retain heat and reduce exposure to harsh winds. Daily life revolves around simple, practical routines. Families work together in farming, herding, and maintaining their homes. Tasks are divided naturally, and community cooperation plays an important role. In villages, people depend on each other, especially during harvesting seasons or harsh weather conditions. Food habits are also shaped by availability. Locally grown grains like barley are staple, often prepared in traditional forms. Butter tea and preserved foods are common as they provide energy and can be stored for long periods. Cultural practices are deeply connected to Ladakh's environment. Festivals, clothing, and daily rituals reflect a lifestyle built on adaptation rather than excess. Even today, despite modern influences, many of these traditions continue, not as preserved culture, but as a functional way of living in a demanding environment. Winter in Leh is long and severe. Temperatures often drop far below freezing, and the surrounding Himalayas become covered in snow. Roads leading to other regions can close, cutting off regular movement and supply. Water sources may freeze, and daily activities slow down significantly. People remain indoors for longer periods, relying on stored food and heating systems. Movement becomes limited, and survival depends on preparation done during summer. These months are not temporary hardship. They are a regular, expected part of life in this region. The culture of Leh is shaped by its environment, history, and strong community bonds. Life here is simple but structured, where traditions are followed not for display, but for continuity. Clothing is designed for warmth, food is prepared for energy, and daily routines are built around seasonal changes. Social life is closely connected to family and community. People gather for shared work, religious practices, and local events. Respect for elders, cooperation among neighbors, and a balanced way of living are key aspects of everyday culture. Despite increasing tourism and outside influence, much of the traditional lifestyle remains intact. Modern elements have entered, but they exist alongside older practices rather than replacing them. This balance keeps the cultural identity of the region steady and grounded in reality.
Festivals in Ladakh are mostly religious and community-based. Events like Hemis Festival bring people together through traditional dances, rituals, and gatherings. These occasions are not frequent, but hold strong importance in maintaining cultural and social connections. Agriculture in Leh is seasonal and limited. Crops like barley and vegetables are grown during short summers. Farming depends on glacial water and manual labor, making it a careful and essential activity for local survival. Religion plays a central role in Leh. Buddhism is widely practiced, and monasteries serve as spiritual and social centers. Daily prayers, rituals, and teachings are part of routine life, reflecting a belief system closely connected to nature and community. Women in Leh play a significant role in both household and outdoor responsibilities. They manage daily chores, take part in farming, care for livestock, and contribute to family income. Their work is continuous and essential, especially in a region where survival depends on shared effort. In many households, women are actively involved in decision-making and community activities. While modern education and opportunities are gradually increasing their roles, traditional responsibilities remain strong. Their lives reflect resilience, adaptability, and a quiet strength shaped by the demands of the environment. The landscape around Leh is dominated by snow-covered peaks of the Himalayas. These mountains remain frozen for most of the year, shaping climate, water sources, and movement, making them a constant and defining presence in everyday life. Leh stands as a place where reality is not shaped for comfort, but accepted as it is. It does not follow the pace of modern life, nor does it attempt to compete with it. Instead, it continues in its own direction, steady, measured, and grounded in its conditions. What makes it significant is not just its setting, but the consistency with which life continues despite limitations that would disrupt most places. There is a certain clarity in how things exist here. Systems are simple, choices are practical, and outcomes are closely tied to effort and environment. Nothing feels excessive, and very little is taken for granted. This creates a lifestyle where awareness becomes part of everyday living. Awareness of resources, time, and surroundings. Rather than offering an escape, Leh presents a contrast. It shows a version of life where dependence on excess is reduced and where continuity matters more than change. This contrast does not demand admiration. It simply exists as an alternative reality. In the end, Leh is not defined by what it offers to visitors, but by how it continues for those who live there. And understanding that difference is what gives it meaning beyond just a place on the map. Every place has its own rhythm, but Leh moves in a way that feels separate from the usual flow of the world. It doesn't rush to adapt, and it doesn't try to hold attention. Instead, it remains steady in its patterns, shaped by its surroundings and the people who live within them. Spending time understanding such a place is less about observing what is visible and more about recognizing what is constant. The quiet routines, the measured pace, and the practical way of living all come together to form something that doesn't need to be explained loudly. There is no single moment that defines Leh. It is understood gradually, through details that might seem small but carry meaning over time. This makes it different from places that rely on quick impressions. As the journey comes to an end, what remains is not just an image of mountains or landscapes, but an understanding of balance between people and place, effort and necessity, movement and stillness. That understanding stays even after leaving. If this perspective on Leh added something meaningful to your understanding, subscribe to the channel for more real and grounded journeys. Stay connected for stories that go beyond visuals and focus on how life truly exists in places often overlooked.